very excited today to welcome MCM and Tom, who we're doing our first of a three-part series of joint ASP and MCM webinars. So it's a new thing for us. Please bear with us. It's like our first gig, so if there are any hiccups or things that go wrong, we're kind of teasing things out. But it's we're doing the first section. Tom will be going through how to get people to your website, and then we're going to be doing a second section in which I'll be talking about actually getting conversions on your site. The session is being recorded, so just if you've attended before, please feel free to submit questions in the chat. Katie will be kindly looking through the questions, and if it's relevant during the session as we're going through it, we'll answer those there. Or potentially it might be better to answer them at the end, but please fire through all of your questions, nice and detailed, nice and broad, whatever you like, fire them through. We'll do our best to go through those. The session also is being recorded, so this will be made available afterwards, as will the all of the different slides, etc. So firstly, I just thought I'd quickly chat through why ASP and MCM. So so MCM have obviously been around. They've been around a long time. So ASP, we specialise in events websites, and it was actually while speaking with a number of our clients that I think I firstly became associated with MCM, with people talking about what a great job they were doing on PPC campaigns, etc. And it was only after then that we kind of started meeting with Tom and the guys there, gotten really well, realised they're really great at their job, and it seems such a natural fit. We do the websites, we do on-site optimization. Those guys actually help bring people to the site. We work with a number of clients, and people have said great things about them. So why not start doing some joint webinars where we can talk about our speciality, which is the website, and they can talk about their speciality, which is helping, especially through paid, to get people through to the website. So it seemed quite a natural fit. And thanks very much, Tom, for coming on and sparing your time to speak to everyone.
No worries at all. That's a lovely intro. Thank you very much. And good afternoon, everyone, from a very gloomy and rainy afternoon in London. Hopefully Jon and I are going to bring a bit of sparkle to your Wednesday afternoon.
I'll do my best. So as mentioned before, it'll be split into two sections. MCM first of all, about getting people to the site, and then we'll be doing a section afterwards about converting people and some best practices when they're on the site. So I think now, without further ado, I'll hand you over to Tom, who can take over from there.
Fantastic. Thank you, Jon. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and then we'll jump straight in. So I think Jon has very nicely covered off who we are as a business. So I'm Tom, I'm the CEO at MCM, and we are an event specialist digital marketing agency. So if we were to distill that into a nutshell, we get bums on seats. So that is our core focus and our main understanding. So the focus for today, and the bit that I want to cover off before handing over to Jon in terms of what to do on site, I wanted to cover off the off-site conversion journey. So with a real lens on creative. So let's say you're running your digital marketing activity and you've got activity happening across LinkedIn, Facebook, wherever it might be. How can you make sure that all of those messages and all of the creative there is as good as it can possibly be and as tailored to your audience and your event as it can possibly be, so that when people end up on your site that is brilliantly optimized and got all of the great stuff, that conversion journey, once they're there, is as smooth and as simple as possible. And we're so passionate about that journey before people end up on your site, because it's so important to really take people through the funnel, take people through the awareness, consideration, conversion phases, so that when they land on site, they're in the best possible position to then go ahead and convert. So if we look at these two examples that we've got here in terms of marketing journeys, example A is if you'd imagine, let's say, a month-long campaign or 2-month campaign ahead of an event where you've got lots of creative that's been posted, but it's all generic. It's not really tailored. It might be the same image or the same video that's been posted time and time again. And then eventually, if you're lucky enough to get someone on the site, they're not going to have had the best journey in terms of when they've landed there. Example B is what I want to talk to today. And that is where you're creating assets for the awareness stage. So when people are just hearing about the event, the consideration phase, where you're given reasons to attend, then the conversion phase, again, where you've got different assets and graphics and videos that are kind of, pushing people to sign up now or last chance, etc. And as you can imagine, by following example B, when people are landing on your site, they're going to be in a much better position to go ahead and convert. And that's going to really nicely, as I said, tee up what Jon's going to talk about in terms of where people landed, how you can then take them from there. But our job is delivering those people in the best possible way. And then throughout all of that, A/B testing. And if you stick with me right to the end, I've got an exciting free gift for everyone. Not like a fancy hamper or a bottle of champagne, I'm afraid, but it is a downloadable A/B testing guide, which we put a huge amount of work into, and that you'll be able to then take away, and hopefully lots of fun stuff and useful bits in there. So let's start right at the top. What makes great creative? So there are 4 pillars that we really focus on. The first being the creative strategy. So working out what is the messaging, the tone, the visuals, all of these bits that we need to, really think about when curating and creating any assets that are going to run into the campaign. And often the creative strategy can be a bit of an afterthought of, what images have we got from last year's event? What font is our brand font at the moment, and where's the logo, and chucking those bits on. But it's really important as you move into the execution and build that you're really thinking about the platform. So where are these assets going to go? As you can imagine, how you communicate on LinkedIn is going to be very different to TikTok, to Meta, and it's important to understand that. And the audiences, the different seniorities that you might be speaking to, the different industries or the different objectives that people might have when they're looking to attend. And all of those things are essential that we're considering when creating any assets to make sure that conversion journey all the way through, where people might be seeing your ad 1, 2, 3, 4, 10, 15, 20 times before actually making a decision to click through off the social platform, or whether they might see these ads or this content onto the website, making sure that you've been as effective as possible. Real-time optimization. This is something that, again, is sometimes overlooked with creative, but it's really important that this might be if you're running a paid campaign where you're running paid adverts, or this might be if you're just running organically and posting things. It's really important that week on week you're having a look at all of the assets that have gone out and optimizing what you're going to do going forwards based on which of those have been the best in terms of driving engagement or clicks, etc. So that's a really important thing to do, and to tweak live. So are the graphics that are relating to your headline speaker outperforming everything else? Is it the imagery of people that is doing really well? Is it the carousel with top tips? And then taking those learnings and implementing them live in the campaigns. That's a really nice way of driving people through. And then the impact and learnings, obviously, if it's something that you're running on a regular basis, really diving into all of the creative and the touch points that we use throughout the campaign, analysing them and working out what are going to be the best ones to invest in and kind of build upon in the future. So one of the main things that we like to focus on when creating those assets are the different personas. So number one, who are you speaking to? And it is really important that we don't generalize the audiences when we're creating creative assets for events, especially in B2B. It's something that can be kind of, a bit of an afterthought, and we'll create one asset that has messaging around the USPs to attend or whatever. But it's really important that we're pulling that out and looking at the different people that are attending and what are their main reasons. Are they attending because they want to learn more? Are they attending because they want to bring things back to their business to share with the rest of the business and, potentially make themselves look good? Do they want to meet other people? Do they just want a fun day out? Is it because they've seen that you've got a DJ at 3 o'clock and you can add all of these bits in? And creating assets that speak to each of these different desires and each of these different audiences is incredibly powerful. And this is something that a lot of other industries outside of events, and especially B2B events, do incredibly well, such as film or media, etc. Speaking to those different audiences, understanding why they would want to engage, and creating almost sub campaigns. It's something that doesn't need to be super complex, but that can be done really nicely in that in the B2B event space. So the tips that we'd recommend: tailor the creative and the assets to the different people that are attending, and make sure your messaging is clearly to them. Test it, so have a look at what works and what doesn't. Again, you'll get feedback instantly within the first hour of something being live. First day, first week, you'll get a really clear idea of what's working. Have a look at those audiences and the metrics on each of the platforms to see who's engaging better with what, and then tweak, make those changes, make very tiny changes, change things in the copy, in the text, etc., to then help that overall journey. Again, just trying to shift those 1%, those 2% in terms of the user journey people are having when they're seeing all of this information before landing on the website. It's a bit like, I guess, preheating an oven or something. The more work that you can do at this stage, the more likely they're going to convert when they land on that lovely, optimized and brilliant website at the end. So moving into step 2, and they always thinking about the funnel and how impactful